The precision cut is a versatile procedure that can be used on most hair textures to produce a well-blended and balanced haircut design for a variety of lengths. The general rule is, if the hair is long enough to hold between the fingers, it is long enough to use the precision cut procedure. Begin with clean, damp hair. Comb the hair down into its natural fall. Use the cutting above the fingers method to cut horizontally in the top section. Take 1/4 to 1/2 inch partings of hair held at 90 degrees and use a traveling guide to cut to the front section. Comb the top section back and move to the client's left side. Starting at the forehead, part off the top section of hair just cut from front to crown. Hold the original guideline and a 1/2 inch parting at the crown at 90 degrees and cut to establish the guide for the crown and back sections. Follow the arc of the head and even off any length that does not blend with the traveling guide. Comb the hair forward. Starting in the center and cutting to the ends of the width of the eyebrows, establish the front design line. Move behind the client and pick up the front hair of the temporal crest region. A small amount of the previously cut top hair should be visible. Hold the hair at 90 degrees and cut to the top guide. Continue cutting the crest area, working back to the center of the crown. Repeat on the client's left side, where cuts will be made from the top guide through the temporal region. Work back to the center of the crown, where the lengths should meet. Moving to the right of the client, comb the hair straight down on the sides. Section off a parting along the hairline and cut in the design line around the ears. Gently bend the ear out of the way as necessary. Next, cut the hair between the front and side design lines, and then cut the remaining hair sections to the design line. Trim the sideburns to the desired length. Repeat on the left side, using a backhand shear position. Check the lengths of the sides and sideburns in the mirror. From behind the client, pick up the side hair in vertical partings and cut above the fingers at 90 degrees. Use the design line as a guide to cut and blend the side section up to the crest and top areas. Repeat on the left side, working from the back or front of the client as comfortable. Move behind the client. Section off a 1/4 to 1/2 inch horizontal parting at the nape of the neck. Starting in the center of the nape, cut the hair to the desired length. Then proceed to cut to the nape corners. Move to the right side and cut from the side design line to the corner. Repeat on the left side, reversing the shear position in order to cut down toward the nape corner. Drop down and cut subsequent partings at the design line cutting beneath the fingers or against the skin. Again, pick up the hair in vertical partings at 90 degrees and blend through the back section up to the crown and crest areas. Blend the sides behind the ears to the back section. Check the entire haircut by combing the hair up in 90-degree sections, making sure that the hair blends from one section to another. Blow dry the client's hair. Begin at the nape, using a brush or comb in the left hand to hold midsection hair out of the way while drying the underneath hair first. The nozzle of the dryer should be pointing downward, 6 to 10 inches away from the hair. Proceed to dry the sides and top and comb the hair into place. As the hair dries, check the cut for blending qualities. Reduce heavy or thick spots in the hair using the shear over comb technique. Using the outliner, trim the outline and nape areas. The decision of when to trim the outline is a matter of the barber's personal choice. However, hair has a tendency to shrink when dried, and performing the outline procedure before blow drying may necessitate having to repeat the procedure. Dust or vacuum stray hairs, making sure none remain on the client's face or neck. The taper cut is a traditional short to medium length haircut that is usually performed with a combination of clippers and shear work. When specified as the required haircut for state board practical exams, the nape area is usually left in a natural taper. The following is one method of performing the taper cut on straight hair. If the length of the hair requires cutting more than an inch, use the clipper or shear over comb method to remove some of the extra length. To perform clipper over comb cutting, roll the comb out to position the hair for cutting. Cut across the hair section to the desired length. Comb through, check, and begin the next section to right or left of center. Gradually taper the hair from shorter to longer until reaching the occipital area. On shorter hair lengths, fully open the adjustable blade clipper. With the teeth of the bottom blade placed flat against the skin at the center of the nape hairline, lightly guide the clipper upward into the hair 1/4 to 1/2 inch above the hairline. For a gradual even taper from shorter to longer hair, gradually tilt the blade away from the head so that the clipper rides on the heel of the bottom blade. Gradually taper the hair only an inch or two above the hairline. The style and shape of the client's head will determine the point at which the tapered area is blended into longer hair. To cut the sides, begin in front of the ear at the hairline and comb the hair down. Tilt the clipper at about a 45-degree angle so that the first few teeth of the blades cut the curve around the ear. Depending on the length to be left in the top section, taper to the crest area. When cutting behind the ears, the guide around the ears and at the corner of the neck should be visible. Comb the hair down. Again, position the clipper at about 45 degrees and blend from the nape corner to the guide at the back of the ear. The hair in the tapered areas should blend from the nape to the side of the neck and around the ear. Use the fingers and shear method to cut the top section at 90 degrees and then blend through the crest areas. To cut curly hair textures in a taper cut, two characteristics of the hair will most influence the choice of tools and method: the elasticity of the curl pattern and the density of the hair. For example, thickly growing, tightly coiled hair textures can make clip-over comb cutting difficult. However, using a pick or comb and the freehand clipper cutting technique is an effective alternative that facilitates easier sculpting of this hair type. To begin, make sure that the client is draped properly and that all tools and implements have been sanitized. Towel dry or use a diffuser to blow dry the hair after shampooing. Pick the hair out in preparation for cutting. Close the clipper blades for thick, tightly coiled hair to facilitate more precise cutting. Begin in the center area of the nape using the freehand clipper technique to gradually taper from the hairline to the mid-occipital area. Repeat to the right and left of the center section until the nape area is cut. To cut the hair at the sides of the head, begin in the front of the ear at the hairline or at the bottom of the sideburn, blending to just below the temple. Pick or comb the hair after every few cuts with the clipper to check the cut and the position and length of the remaining hair. To cut around the ear, tilt the clipper at about a 45-degree angle to cut the curve around the ear into the back section. Gently bend the ear forward or down to cut behind the ear into the side area of the nape. Repeat on the opposite side. To cut the top section, stand to the client's side and establish a guide in the top section from the front to the crown. Blend the top to crest areas, then the crest to the sides. Repeat on the opposite side. Use a towel for contrast to check the outline of the shape for evenness. Pick or comb the hair and check the proportion in the mirror. Use the shears to even up any irregular or heavy spots. Use the shear over comb technique along the hairline to fine-tune the blending in these areas. Use the trimmer to outline the hairline and to prepare the hairline for the outline shave.